So the next concept, how do metals react with nonmetals? First of all, why do they react? See, noble gases are elements that have completely filled valence shells, which is why they don't show any reaction, correct? Because their shells are completely filled, they are satisfied. Why does someone show a reaction? Because they want to get completely filled reaction, completely filled valence shells. So, for example, sodium atomic number 11. So, it has 2, 8, 1. So, what does sodium do? It gives away this 1 electron and finally gets 2 and 8 and now it's stable. Suppose it was chlorine 17, 2, 8, 7. Instead of giving 7 electrons, it's better to take 1 electron. So, it takes an electron and becomes completely filled, stable, right? So, why do elements react? Elements show reactivity to attain a completely filled valence shell. They show reactivity because what is that reactivity? It's nothing but the tendency to gain completely filled valence shells. Let us see an example of sodium and chloride itself. See, sodium atomic number 11, electronic configuration 281. It easily becomes Na plus by giving away 1 electron. So, Na gave away 1 electron, this lost, so it's plus and now it's filled 2, 8. Chlorine 17, 2, 8, 7, it easily takes 1 electron and becomes Cl minus. Now it's taken 1 electron, so it becomes 2, 8, 8. This Na plus is called sodium cation anion. Anode is positive, so positive. Who sits to the positive? If anode is positive, the elements coming to the anode is negative. These are anions. So this is an anion, this is a cation. Sodium cation, chlorine anion. So now what happens? Sodium wants to give 1 electron, chlorine wants to take an electron. So they both can come into a give and take relationship. So now what happens? They both come into a give and take relationship. How? Sodium has 1 electron, chlorine has 7. This sodium wants to give 1 electron to him. So this becomes Na plus, and Cl now has 8 electrons, 1 of sodiums, and this becomes minus. See, please put the charge in the brackets. So this looks like Na plus here and chlorine, okay. Since these are ions and they are oppositely charged, they will have a force of attraction between them. An electrostatic force of attraction will be between them and that will attract them. So inside a molecule, if there is an electrostatic, inside an atom, inside a compound, if we have electrostatic force between 2 elements, then the bond found by those 2 elements are called ionic bonds. And this compound is called ionic compound, or another word for ionic, electrovalent compounds or electrovalent bond. Let us see a few more examples. We will be doing MgCl2 now. So Mg, magnesium, atomic number 12, configuration 2, 8, 2. It becomes Mg2 plus by giving away 2 electrons. This 2, 8, 2 becomes 2, 8. It's a magnesium cation. Magnesium cation. Chlorine 2, 8, 7 becomes chlorine minus, how? By taking one electron. So it takes one electron, becomes Cl minus 2, 8, 8. He is giving 2 electrons, but he is taking 1 electron. So can one more chlorine play? See, I am giving you 2. So this one chlorine is saying enough, 1 is enough for me. So one more will go to who? Another chlorine. So now what happens? Mg is here and it has 2 electrons in its valence shell. So now Mg is here and it has 2 electrons in its valence shell. There is one chlorine atom here, 7, and there is one more chlorine atom here. So this one electron goes to this chlorine, this one more electron goes to this other chlorine. Satisfied? Yes. So it forms, Mg loses both the electrons, so it becomes Mg2 plus and chlorine has one Cl minus, but how many chlorines? 2 chlorines. I hope it's understood how the compound is formed there, how the MgCl2 is formed. Let's try one more compound, calcium oxide. So how does calcium oxide form? Atomic number of calcium 20, electronic configuration 2, 8, 8, 2. It becomes Ca2 plus by giving away 2 electrons. So this is 2, 8, 8, 2. It gave away 2, so the 2 is not there. Oxygen, atomic number 8, configuration 2, 6. It takes 2 electrons because it wants to become 2, 8 and it becomes O2 minus. Now it is 2, 8. So now this wants to give 2 electrons, this wants to take 2 electrons. They come in a give and take relationship, they form an ionic bond or an electrovalent compound. So what happens here? Calcium has 2 electrons in its valence shell. It reacts with oxygen that has 6. This oxygen takes both these electrons. It therefore becomes Ca2 plus and oxygen has 6 of its own, 2 from calcium and charge on it 2 minus. So forms calcium oxide. Let us list few of the properties of ionic compounds. This experiment is done using activity 3.13 where we try to burn a few salts with air, like burn it with oxygen, and we see whether there is a flame color. We make a solution and we try to conduct electricity, put 2 electrodes to it and see if the bulb switches on. We also try to see whether it conducts heat or not. So all that, doing that experiment, we finally get this conclusion. Few metal salts impart colored flame. It has its own characteristic flame color. So if it's golden yellow, you can say it's NaCl. If the flame color is violet, you can say it's Ki. There are few other compounds that impart color and you need to know. It's given in the notes. Go through the notes for the colors. Ionic compounds are usually solids. Why? Because one ion is positive, the other ion is negative. The electrostatic force of attraction between them is very strong, which is why they are closer bound to each other and therefore it's in solid state. They have high melting point and boiling point. Why? Since the electrostatic force of attraction is very strong between them, the energy required to break the bond is also more. Therefore, if you want to break it and reach the high melting point or boiling point, you need more energy. They are usually soluble in water, insoluble in petrol and kerosene. What about electricity? Do they conduct electricity is the next question. See, NaCl is Na plus and Cl minus. So there are many Na plus and Cl minus. Now if this wants to conduct electricity, How will it conduct electricity? If this wants to conduct electricity, it's in solid state. Yes, there is a charge. These ions are also charges. Ions are also charges. But if I want this ion to move, it should be free. In solid state, is it free? No. So, in solid state, ionic compounds do not conduct electricity. But in molten state or solution state, once I put it in molten state, now there is enough energy to kind of break the bond. These ions become free. These ions become free. This Na plus will become free. Cl minus will become free. They are free to flow. So, in molten state or solution state, the ions can flow. The ions contribute as charges, and therefore we can say electricity is conducted. So, ionic compounds do not conduct electricity in solid state, but do conduct electricity in molten or solution state. Page 49, question 1, first part. Write the electron dot structure for sodium, oxygen and magnesium. First, electronic configuration of sodium is 2, 8, 1. Then the electron dot structure. Sodium has only one electron on the valence side, so you can just put 1. Next, electronic configuration of oxygen is 2, 6. So, electron dot structure will be this. Magnesium. Electronic configuration of magnesium is 282 because atomic number is 12, Mg2. You can put one this side, one this side. All are right. Show the formation of Na2O and MgO by the transfer of electrons. So, first of all, Na is 2, 8, 1. It becomes Na plus 1 electron. This is 2, 8. Oxygen 2, 6. It needs 2 electrons. So, it takes 2 electrons and becomes O2 minus. This becomes 2, 8. Sodium is giving only 1 electron, oxygen wants 2. So, 2 sodiums are involved. So, 1 sodium here and 1 more sodium here. This is reacting with the oxygen that has 6. This one's giving 1 electron, this one's giving the other. So, it becomes Na plus along with that O. It has 6 of its own, 2 of Na, charge 2 minus. There are 2 sodiums involved, so Na plus will be here 2. Now, going ahead with MgO. Mg is 2, 8, 2. It becomes Mg2 plus by giving away 2 electrons. Oxygen is 2, 6. It takes 2 electrons and becomes O2 minus. This wants to give 2, this wants to take 2, satisfied. So, Mg has 2, oxygen has 6, gives both the electrons to this fellow. So, it becomes Mg2 plus and oxygen cross 6 of its own 2 minus. What are the ions present in these compounds? We studied sodium, so Na plus, oxygen O2 minus and magnesium Mg2 plus. Question 2, why do ionic compounds have high melting points? Ionic compounds have a strong force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions. So, we need more energy to break that bond, which is why they have high melting points. Samples of 4 metals A, B, C and D were taken and added to the following solutions one by one. The results obtained have been tabulated. So, they have given who reacts with whom, and wherever it is empty, we do not know. We might have to answer it. Use the table above to answer the following questions about the metals A, B, C and D. What is the most reactive metal? Now, concentrate only on the table. See, we are dealing with iron, copper, zinc and silver. So I have taken iron, copper, zinc and silver and arranged it according to the reactivity series. Zinc is highest, then we have iron, then we have copper and then we have silver, right? So I have taken iron, copper, zinc and silver and arranged it on the reactivity series here. So you can see these series exist here. So now observe, A does not react with iron. If it does not react with iron means it lies below iron. But it reacts, it displaces copper. That means A should be below iron, above copper. A is in between these two. They are not told about zinc and silver. B displaces iron. B displaces iron means B can be here or here, above iron or above zinc. But if I put it above iron, it displaces iron. If I put it above zinc, it will displace both. But see, under zinc it's saying no reaction. That means B does not displace zinc. B does not displace zinc. So it cannot be above zinc. But B displaces iron. So B lies here. C, no reaction, no reaction, no reaction. So it does not react with iron, so it can't be here. It does not react with copper, so it can't be above copper. It does not react with zinc, so it's not above zinc also. But it displaces silver. So C lies here. D shows absolutely no reaction with anybody, so it has to be below all of them, somewhere over here. Which is the most reactive metal? B, obviously. Yes. So B is the most reactive metal. Question 2. What would you observe if B is added to a solution of copper sulfate? If B is added to a solution of copper sulfate, will it displace? Yes, because B is more reactive than copper. So in the second one, you should write down displacement reaction is observed if B is reacted with copper sulfate. You get a sulfate of B. We don't know the valency of B, so we can't write the formula, along with copper. Arrange the metals A, B, C and D in the order of the decreasing reactivity. B is highest, then you have A, then you have C and then you have D. Question 4. Which gas is produced when dilute hydrochloric acid is added to reactive metal? Hydrogen gas. We already saw this during experiment. If an acid is added to a reactive metal, hydrogen gas is liberated. We even tested it, pops out. That was from chapter 1. Write the chemical reaction when iron reacts with dilute H2SO4. Iron is reacting with dilute H2SO4. You get ferrous sulfate along with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Question 5. What would you observe when zinc is added to a solution of iron to sulfate? Write the chemical reaction that takes place. Since zinc is more reactive than iron, it will displace iron and form zinc sulfate. So iron reacts with iron sulfate or ferrous sulfate to give zinc sulfate and iron.